Welcome to Top Rare Coins, your ultimate destination for discovering the hidden treasures of history. On this channel, we explore some of the most fascinating and valuable old coins from the United States. From rare pennies and silver dollars to historic coins worth thousands of dollars, each piece has a story waiting to be uncovered. Whether you're a collector, a history lover, or just curious about coins you might have lying around, this channel will guide you through the world of rare US coins, helping you valuable finds and learn what makes them so special. Don't forget to subscribe and join us. Here is a polished, engaging, and professional long-form YouTube script of around 1,200 words for your topic. Welcome back to Top Rare Coins, the place where history meets hidden treasure. Today, we are diving into one of the most fascinating and controversial coins in modern American numismatics, the 1967 Liberty 1 cent with no mint mark. This small copper coin might look ordinary at first glance, but collectors and experts know it holds a story that could turn a simple penny into a life-changing discovery. Imagine holding a coin that could potentially be worth up to $1.2 million. Yes, you heard that right. A single penny, something most people ignore or toss aside, could carry extraordinary value. But what makes the 1967 Liberty 1 cent so special? Why are collectors willing to pay such astonishing prices for it? Let's uncover the truth behind this rare coin. First, let's talk about the background. The 1967 Lincoln penny was produced during a unique period in United States coin history. Between 1965 and 1967, the US Mint made a critical decision to remove mint marks from coins. This was done to discourage collectors from hoarding coins during a nationwide coin shortage. As a result, all pennies minted in 1967 do not carry a mint mark, regardless of whether they were produced in Philadelphia, Denver, or San Francisco. So at first glance, a 1967 penny with no mint mark is not rare at all. Millions of them were produced and circulated widely. However, here is where things become interesting. Not all 1967 pennies are the same. A few extremely rare variations and errors exist, and these are the ones that have captured the attention of collectors worldwide. One of the most valuable types of the 1967 Liberty 1 cent is the high-grade uncirculated version. Coins that have never been used in everyday transactions, with perfect surfaces and sharp details, are incredibly rare. These coins are graded on a scale, and the highest grades can fetch thousands, sometimes even hundreds of thousands of dollars. But what truly pushes the value into the million-dollar range are error coins and unique specimens. Some 1967 pennies were struck with unusual characteristics such as double dies, off-center strikes, or even wrong planches. These rare errors make the coin one of a kind, and collectors are always willing to pay a premium for uniqueness. For example, a double die error occurs when the coin is struck twice with a slight misalignment, creating a noticeable doubling effect on the text or design. On a 1967 penny, this could appear on the word Liberty or the date. If such an error is confirmed and preserved in excellent condition, its value can skyrocket. Another rare possibility is a transitional error. This happens when a coin is struck using a planchet intended for a different year or metal composition. While rare, such anomalies have been known to reach extraordinary values at auctions. Now let's talk about the design of the 1967 Liberty 1 cent. On the obverse, you will find the iconic portrait of Abraham Lincoln, a design that has been in use since 1909. Above his head, you see the word "In God We Trust." To the left, the word Liberty, and to the right, the year 1967. On the reverse side, you will see the classic wheat ears design if it were before 1959, but in 1967, the reverse features the Lincoln Memorial. This design shows the memorial in Washington, D.C., with the words United States of America and 1 cent surrounding it. Inside the memorial, if you look very closely, you can even see a tiny image of Lincoln sitting. The composition of the coin is primarily copper, giving it that familiar reddish-brown appearance. However, over time, coins can develop different tones depending on how they were stored. Bright red coins are generally more valuable than those that have turned brown due to oxidation. Condition plays a massive role in determining value. A worn-out 1967 penny found in circulation might only be worth its face value. But a coin in mint state condition, with no scratches, discoloration, or wear, can be worth significantly more. The difference between an average coin and a perfect one can mean thousands of dollars. Now let's address the claim that these coins can start at $1.2 million. This figure is not for every 1967 penny. It applies only to the rarest examples, coins with unique errors, perfect grading, or historical significance. Auction houses and private collectors sometimes drive prices to extraordinary levels when a truly rare piece becomes available. There have been cases where rare pennies, especially those with confirmed minting errors and exceptional preservation, have sold for 6 or even 7 figures. These are not everyday finds, but they keep the dream alive for collectors and treasure hunters. So how can you identify if you have a valuable 1967 Liberty 1 cent? Start by examining the coin carefully. Look for unusual features such as doubling in the text, misaligned designs, or anything that appears different from a standard coin. Use a magnifying glass or a coin microscope for better visibility. Next, check the condition. Is the coin shiny and well preserved, or does it show signs of wear? The better the condition, the higher the potential value. Also, pay attention to the color. Coins with a bright red luster are often more desirable. Today, we are diving deep into the 1973 Liberty 1 cent with no mint mark, a coin surrounded by curiosity, myths, and hidden potential. So before you spend your next penny, watch this carefully. Let's start with the basics. The 1973 Lincoln cent features the iconic profile of Abraham Lincoln on the front, designed by Victor David Brenner. On the reverse, you'll find the classic wheat ears were already replaced by the Lincoln Memorial design, introduced in 1959. Now here's where things get interesting. If your 1973 penny has no mint mark, it means it was produced at the Philadelphia Mint. During that time, Philadelphia coins typically didn't carry a mint mark, unlike Denver coins marked with a D or San Francisco coins marked with an S. And here's the truth most people don't realize. The majority of 1973 no mint mark pennies are extremely common. Over 3 billion of them were minted. Yes, billion. So why are collectors still searching for them? Because in rare cases, mistakes happen. And in coin collecting, mistakes can mean money. Let's talk about the real reason this coin gets attention: error varieties. Some 1973 pennies have been discovered with unusual features that make them valuable. These include double die errors, where parts of the design appear slightly duplicated. Off-center strikes, where the coin wasn't properly aligned during minting. Clipped planchets, where a piece of the coin is missing. Die cracks or cuds, which create raised lines or blobs on the surface. Now here's where things become exciting. If you happen to find a 1973 no mint mark penny with a strong, visible error, collectors may be willing to pay anywhere from $50 to several $100s, and in rare high-grade cases, even more. Condition is everything. A heavily worn penny might only be worth face value, but a coin in uncirculated condition, meaning it has never been used in daily transactions, can already be worth more, even without errors. Professional grading companies like PCGS or NGC evaluate coins based on their condition using a scale from 1 to 70. A 1973 penny graded at MS65 or higher, especially with a noticeable mint error, can attract serious collector interest. Now let's address the big question. Can a 1973 penny really be worth a life-changing amount of money? The honest answer is extremely unlikely. But that doesn't mean it's worthless. In fact, the excitement comes from the hunt. Because every once in a while, someone discovers a coin with a rare combination of exceptional condition, unique mint error, strong collector demand, and suddenly, that 1 cent coin becomes something much more valuable. That's why collectors never stop searching. Now let me show you exactly what to look for if you want to check your own 1973 penny. First, examine the date closely. Make sure it clearly reads 1973 and hasn't been altered. Second, look under the date. If there's no mint mark, you've got a Philadelphia coin. Third, inspect the coin under good lighting. Look for doubling in the letters, especially in Liberty and Iron God We Trust. Check if the design is off-center. Notice any unusual lines, cracks, or raised areas. Fourth, check the coin's color. A bright red copper coin is generally more valuable than a dull brown one, especially if it's in mint condition. And finally, never clean your coin. Cleaning can damage the surface and reduce its value instantly. If you think you've found something special, consider having it evaluated by a professional grading service. Now let's talk about market reality. Most 1973 no mint mark pennies sell for between 1 cent and a few dollars. Coins with minor errors may sell for $10 to $100. Stronger error coins or high-grade specimens can reach several $100s. But viral claims of coins worth millions are often exaggerated or based on extremely rare, unique cases that don't apply to standard coins. Today, we are diving into a coin that many people overlook, yet it holds surprising potential in the world of coin collecting. We are talking about the 1995 Liberty 1-cent coin. At first glance, it looks like an ordinary penny you might find in your pocket or loose change jar. But under the right conditions, this small copper coin can become a highly desirable collectible. So, could you be holding a valuable 1995 penny without even realizing it? Let's find out. The 1995 Lincoln cent features the familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse, designed by Victor David Brenner. Above his head, you'll see the word Liberty, and the date 1995 appears on the right side. If your coin was minted in Denver, it will have a small D mint mark below the date. If there is no mint mark, it was produced in Philadelphia. Now here's where things get interesting. One of the most talked about varieties of this coin is the 1995 double die obverse, often referred to as the 1995 DDO penny. This is not just a minor flaw, it's a noticeable error where the lettering appears doubled due to a misalignment during the die creation process. Collectors love error coins because they are unique, and the 1995 DDO is one of the most recognized modern double die coins. So how can you identify it? Look closely at the words Liberty and I and God We Trust. On a genuine double die coin, you'll see clear doubling in the letters, not just a shadow, but a distinct, separate impression. The doubling is especially visible with magnification, but even with the naked eye, sharp examples can stand out. If your coin shows this feature, you might be holding something special. Now let's talk about value. A regular 1995 penny in circulated condition is only worth face value, just 1 cent. Even in uncirculated condition, it might only be worth a few cents to $1. However, the 1995 double die obverse penny is a different story. In average circulated condition, these coins can sell for around $20 to $50 depending on clarity. In uncirculated grades, the value can rise significantly, often reaching $100 to $300. And if you have a high-grade example, professionally graded at MS65 or higher, the value can climb into the range of $500 or more. Exceptional specimens with strong doubling and perfect surfaces have been known to reach over $1,000 at auction. So while it may not be worth millions, it can still be a highly rewarding find. Another important factor is condition. Coin grading plays a huge role in determining value. A coin with scratches, wear, or discoloration will be worth far less than one that is bright, clean, and well preserved. Collectors look for coins with strong luster, minimal marks, and sharp details. If you believe your coin is valuable, consider having it graded by a professional service like PCGS or NGC. This not only confirms authenticity but also increases buyer confidence. Now let's address a common misconception. Some people believe that a 1995 D coin can exist without a mint mark. This is not possible. If a coin was minted in Denver, it will always carry the D. If your coin has no mint mark, it simply means it was minted in Philadelphia. Today, we are diving deep into one of the most talked about modern coins in the collecting world, the 1996 Liberty 1 cent with no mint mark. At first glance, this coin may look completely ordinary. You may even have one sitting in your pocket, wallet, or old coin jar right now. But what if I told you that under the right conditions, this tiny copper coin could be worth hundreds, thousands, or even more depending on rare factors? Let's uncover the truth behind this fascinating coin, separate myths from reality, and show you exactly what to look for. The 1996 Lincoln penny without a mint mark was produced at the Philadelphia Mint. Unlike coins from Denver or San Francisco, Philadelphia coins traditionally do not carry a mint mark, so the absence of a mark is completely normal and not an error. In fact, more than 6.6 billion of these coins were produced that year, making it one of the most common pennies in US history. Now here's where things get interesting. Because of this massive production, most 1996 pennies are only worth their face value of 1 cent. Yes, that means the majority of these coins are not rare at all. Even if you find one in your change today, it is most likely only worth 1 cent unless it has something very special about it. But don't lose interest yet. There are certain conditions and rare features that can turn this ordinary coin into something extremely valuable. And this is where collectors and treasure hunters get excited. The first factor that determines value is condition. Coins are graded on a scale from heavily worn to perfect mint state. A circulated 1996 penny that has been used in everyday transactions is typically worth only 1 cent. However, if you find a coin in uncirculated condition, meaning it has never been used and still has its original shine, it can be worth significantly more. For example, uncirculated 1996 pennies can range from a few dollars to over $20 depending on the grade. But here's the shocking part. In extremely rare cases, high-grade specimens have sold for over $2,000 when graded at the highest levels. Yes, you heard that right. A coin originally worth 1 cent can reach thousands of dollars simply because of its condition. Now let's talk about the second factor, mint errors. Mint errors are the real jackpot in coin collecting. These occur when something goes wrong during the coin production process. And even though billions of coins are made, small mistakes can slip through. Some of the most valuable errors found on 1996 pennies include double die errors, off-center strikes, and rare planchet mistakes. A double die error occurs when the design is stamped twice slightly off alignment, creating a visible doubling effect on letters or numbers. Collectors love these errors because they are unique and hard to find. Some double die varieties from 1996 have been valued in the hundreds of dollars, and in certain cases even higher depending on visibility and condition. Another exciting error is the off-center strike. This happens when the coin is not properly aligned during minting, resulting in part of the design missing. Depending on how dramatic the error is, these coins can sell for anywhere between a few dollars to over $50 or more. Then there are extreme and rare errors, such as coins struck on the wrong planchet. These are incredibly valuable and can reach into the thousands because they are so unusual and rare. Now let's address one of the biggest myths circulating online. You may have seen claims that a 1996 penny with no mint mark is worth $1,200 million. Let's be clear. In reality, even the most perfect and rare examples of this coin reach values in the thousands, not millions. Claims of million-dollar pennies are often exaggerated or misleading. However, that does not mean your coin is worthless. It simply means you need to know what to look for. If you want to check your own 1996 penny, start by examining the condition. Look for a bright, original red color with no scratches or damage. Next, use a magnifying glass to inspect the lettering and date for any signs of doubling. Check if the coin appears off-center or has any unusual features. Also pay attention to the surface. Unusual textures or strike marks could indicate an error. If you believe you have found something special, the next step is professional grading. Services like PCGS or NGC can authenticate and grade your coin, which significantly increases its value and credibility in the market. Another important detail to understand is that modern pennies like the 1996 version are made of copper-plated zinc. This composition can degrade over time, making high-quality coins even rarer. That is why collectors are willing to pay a premium for coins that have survived in perfect condition. So while billions were made, very few remain in flawless condition today. That's what creates value. Now imagine this. Today, we are diving deep into one of the most searched coins online, the 1997 Liberty 1 cent coin, especially the version with no mint mark. There's a lot of hype, confusion, and even misinformation about this coin. Some people claim it can be worth over $1,200 million. But what is the truth? Let's uncover the real story behind this fascinating penny. First, let's understand what this coin actually is. The 1997 1 cent coin is part of the famous Lincoln Memorial penny series. On the front, you'll see the iconic portrait of Abraham Lincoln, designed by Victor David Brenner. Above his head is the word Liberty, and below is the year 1997. On the back, you'll find the Lincoln Memorial Building, a design that was used from 1959 to 2008. Now here's where things get interesting. Many collectors and beginners notice that some 1997 pennies do not have a mint mark under the date, and immediately, they assume this must be a rare error. But in reality, that's not true. A 1997 penny with no mint mark simply means it was made at the Philadelphia Mint. For many years, Philadelphia coins did not carry a mint mark at all. So instead of being rare, this version is actually the most common type of 1997 penny ever produced. In fact, over 4.6 billion of these coins were minted in Philadelphia alone. That's billions, with a B. So if it's so common, why are people talking about huge values? The answer lies in condition, rarity within condition, and special errors. Let's talk about value. If you have a regular 1997 penny with no mint mark that has been used in everyday circulation, Its value is usually just 1 cent, maybe a few cents at most. Even coins in slightly better condition might only be worth between 10 cents to a couple of dollars. But here's where things start to change. If your coin is in uncirculated condition, meaning it has never been used and still has its original shine, the value can increase significantly. High-grade examples can sell for tens or even hundreds of dollars depending on their quality. And in extremely rare cases, coins graded at the very top levels, like MS-69 Red, have sold for thousands of dollars at auction. One famous example sold for over $6,000, which is incredible for a coin that originally cost just 1 cent. Now let's address the big claim. Some videos and social media posts say that a 1997 penny with no mint mark is worth $1,200 million. That is simply not true. There is no verified sale, auction, or official record of a 1997 penny reaching anything close to that value. Even the rarest modern pennies do not reach anywhere near millions, let alone billions. So where does this myth come from? Usually, it comes from misunderstanding rare error coins. Certain coins with major minting errors, like missing designs, double strikes, or off-center strikes, can be worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars. But those are extremely rare and must be verified by professional grading services. For the 1997 penny, there are a few known error types that collectors look for. These include double die errors, where the design appears slightly doubled. There are also die cracks, off-center strikes, and other minor variations. However, most of these errors still sell for modest amounts, often under $100 unless they are truly exceptional. So how can you tell if your coin is valuable? Start by checking the condition. Look for a bright red color, sharp details, and no scratches or wear. Collectors call this a red coin, and it is much more valuable than brown or worn coins. Next, inspect the coin under magnification. Look for doubling in the letters, unusual marks, or anything that looks different from a normal penny. If you think you have something special, the best step is to send your coin to a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC. They can authenticate and grade your coin, which can significantly increase its value if it's rare. Another important factor is demand. Even if a coin is rare, it must also be desirable to collectors. The 1997 penny is a modern coin with a very high mintage, so demand is generally limited unless the coin is in exceptional condition or has a unique error. So what is the realistic value range? Today, we are diving deep into one of the most fascinating modern coin mysteries, the Liberty 1 cent 2012 with no mint mark. At first glance, it looks like an ordinary penny, something you might ignore or toss into a jar. But what if I told you that certain versions of this coin are rumored to reach astonishing values, even starting from $1,200 and climbing dramatically depending on condition, rarity, and collector demand? Let's uncover the truth behind this coin, explore its history, understand why collectors are paying attention, and most importantly, learn how you can identify if you have one hiding in your pocket right now. First, let's talk about the basics. The Liberty 1 cent 2012 is part of the modern United States penny series. By 2012, the design featured Abraham Lincoln on the front, a design that has been a staple since 1909. On the reverse side, the coin displays the Union shield, symbolizing unity and strength. This design was introduced in 2010 and continued through the following years. Now here is where things get interesting. Most coins produced in the United States carry a mint mark. This small letter indicates where the coin was made. Common mint marks include P for Philadelphia, D for Denver, and S for San Francisco. However, some coins are produced without a visible mint mark, particularly those minted in Philadelphia, which traditionally does not always include one on certain denominations. So why is a 2012 penny with no mint mark attracting so much attention? The answer lies in rarity, condition, and possible minting anomalies. While millions of pennies were produced in 2012, only a small percentage of them meet the strict standards that collectors look for. These standards include flawless surfaces, sharp details, and unique characteristics that separate an ordinary coin from a highly valuable collectible. Coins with no mint mark are not automatically rare, but when combined with exceptional condition or unusual features, they can become extremely desirable. For example, if a 2012 penny with no mint mark is found in mint state condition, meaning it has never been circulated and shows no signs of wear, its value can increase significantly. But that is not all. Some collectors believe that certain 2012 no mint mark pennies may include subtle minting errors. These errors can include double dies, off-center strikes, or slight variations in design alignment. Even the smallest imperfection can turn an ordinary coin into a collector's dream. Now let's talk about the value. You may have heard claims that this coin can reach prices starting from $1,200 or even higher. While that might sound unbelievable, the truth is that the coin market is driven by demand. If collectors are actively searching for a specific variation and only a limited number are available, the price can rise quickly. However, it is important to stay realistic. Not every 2012 no-mint mark penny is worth a fortune. In fact, most are still worth just 1 cent. The high values apply only to coins that meet specific criteria such as near-perfect condition, verified rarity, or confirmed minting errors. So how can you tell if your coin is valuable? Start by examining the coin closely. Look at the surface under good lighting. Is it shiny and free of scratches? Are the details on Lincoln's face crisp and well-defined? Next, check for any unusual features such as doubling in the lettering or design elements that appear slightly misaligned. You should also consider having the coin professionally graded. Coin grading services evaluate coins based on condition and authenticity, assigning them a grade that collectors trust. A higher grade can significantly increase the value of a coin. Another key factor is preservation. If you believe you have a valuable coin, avoid cleaning it. Cleaning can actually reduce the value by damaging the original surface. Instead, store it in a protective holder to prevent further wear. Now let's address the excitement around extreme valuations. Some online sources or collectors may claim that certain coins can reach incredibly high prices, even into the thousands or more. While these cases do exist, they are rare and usually involve exceptional circumstances such as auction bidding wars or unique historical significance. The idea of a penny being worth over $1,000 captures the imagination, and that is part of what makes coin collecting so exciting. It turns everyday objects into potential treasures and encourages people to look more closely at the small details most of us overlook. This also highlights an important lesson. Value is not always about the material itself, but about rarity, demand, and story. A simple copper-coated zinc coin can become a prize collectible if it has the right combination of factors.